Hi everybody.
Hello everyone.
Today we're going to answer a question that Michelle Archbell asked us, and the question is, how are we doing on fruit and have we changed anything? There's actually two questions. We'll address the first one, how are we doing on fruit? So should I start?
Yeah, please do.
I think overall we can say it's a life-changing experience for both of us that we've moved on to fruit. It was a revelation, and it's been a positive on so many aspects for us. Health-wise, we're doing okay, eating only fruit. And one thing that we've both noticed is that when you eat only fruit, you don't have many of the issues that are kind of considered normal when you're eating everything. So for example, it's considered pretty normal that once in a while you get a headache, once in a while you get tummy ache, once in a while you feel nauseous, and every year, once a year or twice a year, you have a cold. And these things are gone. We don't experience them anymore. I mean, okay, let me be 100% truthful. Every now and again, we might reach a healing crisis where where the body does need to take a break, slow down. That happens very, very rarely, and it's over much quicker than it would be when we were eating, than it was when we were eating everything. So I think overall we can say, I'll speak for myself, I should. I'm feeling fine, I'm feeling okay, eating only fruits. I don't miss anything. I have the energy that I need to do the things that I need to do. So I'm happy with it. So maybe you can answer that part of the question.
I would like to ask you actually,
if
since you eat fruit, if you notice once you start eating only fruit, did you notice the betterment on what levels?
Well, as I say, the betterment for me, this is kind of a fact that whenever I was eating cooked food, especially towards the end of my experience of eating cooked food, I would get instant mucus build-up. My nose would become blocked quickly, my throat would become congested, and eating only fruit, that kind of all stopped. So it was immediate for me, whereas before I used to walk around and a lot of the time my nose would be blocked. I would have a constant need to be blowing my nose. And I did notice that it was suddenly like I was cosmic breathing. I could breathe. And I didn't have to worry about carrying a hanky for that purpose. It's a marvellous thing, really. And just overall, I felt more clear-headed and better concentration. Yeah.
So you noticed a lot of things improved for you.
And for you?
Yeah. Well, I was already vegan for a while. I always ate very light. If I had my own choice, since I was born, I would eat just fruit because that's all I wanted. But you know, I wasn't heard. People who look after me, my parents and authorities and grandparents and so on, they just would not let me. They saw my zest for fruit as almost disease. They was telling me I'm going to be sick. They were forever stopping me eating fruit. But I always managed, you know. I have to do it often behind their back, but I couldn't help myself.
She was like a born fruitarian, really, naturally born fruitarian.
Yes, but that is different topic.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, regardless of that, and I was vegan at least 3 years before, maybe even more. I don't want to think about it now, but I was vegan for a while already, eating still a lot of raw food because I prefer raw than cooked. And when I went just overnight, only on fruit. I couldn't believe within not even a week, few days, it took maybe 3-4 days, I felt so much better. I couldn't believe it. True is, I was never seriously ill. I have only injury, severe spinal injury, but other than that, I was never a sick person. You know, even as kid, I never have many health problems. Like all we have was those flus and colds. Even that I have very rarely. So when I start eating only fruit, everything improved. Digestion, which I thought was normal, improved. My energy level, which I thought was normal, improved. My mind was more clear. As Mango said, I could breathe, like I was aware I actually do need the air, you know, and it was for me pleasant experience because I was suddenly aware the air is coming into my body. That experience was amazing. And everything was just more bright and more beautiful. It was coming from grey to full of colors, you know. And I was on the top of earth. I was so happy. And within a week, I was saying, this is the secret they keeping from us. This is our natural food. This is exactly what humans should eat. And we actually, as people, we don't know how it feels to be truly healthy because we're eating wrong food. And it was for me amazing. I never forget the feeling and improvement on all levels. So that was the change for me when I started only fruit. It was like miracle. Miracle. I discovered secret, huge secret. So nobody knew.
Yeah, it is. It's kept hidden from the masses, really, that we're really frugivores.
You know, it's interesting, they're telling us even we are so close by genetic makeup to the gorillas. And they're telling us gorillas live on fruit, as Mango many times said in his book and in his comments everywhere through so many years. Gorilla eats fruit and they eat greens only if there is not enough fruit. Yet, nobody clicks here, you know, so similar DNA. We know they eat fruit. We eat meat. What's going on? You know, where is the question marks in our minds? Where are they?
Yeah.
We forgot to ask things. I come to only fruit because I asked questions, but I didn't know then nothing about gorillas. I vaguely, maybe I wasn't even aware such a monkey exists because I lived beyond that iron wall, and that means hardly zero information about anything. So, what's the next part of that?
The next part of the question is, have we changed anything since we started doing this? It's pretty much inevitable that you do change things. You can't not change. This is part of the body as it adapts to the new diet, the new food that it's getting. Change is inevitable. So yes, we definitely have changed, and change is something that is continuously happening. It will probably continue for the rest of our lives. One of the main things that I think we've both noticed has changed is that instead of eating fruit, we both have a preference more toward drinking it now than we did ever before. So we drink a lot more of our juice, as juices that we make ourselves. And that happens. And also change happens seasonally because fruits come into season, they go out of season, we eat different things. And I think we also eat a lot less than we ever needed to before. It's like the body doesn't desire to eat more as you progress. That need for food is minimized. So yeah, those three things really, that we're reducing more, eating less, and changing with the season.
Yeah, eating what's in season.
Eating what's in season.
So, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, do you want to add something more to that?
Yeah, well, I want to say, for me, in the beginning, I ate a lot. I ate a lot of bananas and watermelons. That was my staple
Yeah.
for a long time. Also been traveling, so buying all the fruit on the road from people's gardens. It was beautiful, different variety of bananas I never seen in my life. I knew only Cavendish, twice a year, that was Easter and Christmas, and it was limited kilo per family each shopping, and it was very little bit. We used to get, we were 2 kids to start with, we get 1 banana each day throughout the Christmas holidays. But we have a short ones, not like here in Australia. But eyesight tracking, I want to say that changes were huge. As I said before, within the week I noticed already improvement within my health, even I thought I'm perfectly healthy. And I also gained huge sense of freedom, because all I need is to eat fruit. I realize I don't need to drink water, so that's one thing you don't have to worry about, which may be big worry, especially when you travel here in Australia. It's a lot of land, which can be pretty dry. And also, with the time, I noticed that changes were happening. This time, as for mango, I needed much less fruit to eat. With the time, I tend more to blend and drink fruit than just eating it. And but interesting is there are still some fruits I would never blend, or I would never juice, or there are fruits I would never eat as is. I would have to blend them or juice them. And that's changing too with the time. And also I ate bananas like there is no tomorrow for maybe first 15 years. Then I lost the taste for banana. I could not even hardly, if I smell the banana which is already getting brown, it made me sick. And only now, after another like 15 years, and more plus, I'm back into bananas. Suddenly I started really craving banana. I must have a banana. Remember? And this same thing happened to me with apples, where I always loved apples. Suddenly I fully know, and maybe 2 years now I'm eating apples again, and I so enjoy them. And I cannot understand how come I lost that, zest for them, that appetite, even they were like more yuck than something nice for me. They just thought to have an apple was big like, oh, no. So that's the changes throughout the years. Sometimes I prefer, some year I may like more mangoes, I may some year after mango finish, before the mango season finish, I don't feel like it. I also noticed that just before the certain fruit come in a season, I really start craving it, so my body already start looking for those mangoes or melons, whatever is supposed to come in. So that I found interesting. So if you listen your body, if you eat as your body tells you, that means eat when you're hungry, don't overeat, and so on, you will learn to eat purely intuitively. You will never eat something you don't want. You would not have a problem if you come visit somebody and they offer you apple and you don't eat apples. You don't fancy them. You just say, thank you, I don't like the apples. I don't eat apples at the moment. What I was doing in those cases, like I always take a fruit with me everywhere. Make sure, because most of people don't understand what it is about when you eat only fruit anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and I think one thing that we don't do is we don't follow a particular pattern that's set out. Like somebody's putting it in a table. You have to eat so many calories every day, or you have to balance correctly carbohydrates and fats, etc. We don't believe in that because we feel it's actually a distraction from the truth of the beauty of fruit. Fruit is, you should be eating what's appealing to you and not thinking about, oh, I've got to eat so many bananas because if I don't eat enough, then I'm going to be potassium deficient or whatever it is that they think that they'll be if they don't get enough of them. So yeah, we don't calorie count, we don't follow any pattern like that. We just eat what we feel to eat and don't worry about whether it's little or a lot. If we want to eat a lot because we're hungry, we'll eat a lot. If we want to eat just a little bit, we'll eat just a little bit.
Appetites change, Look at the little babies. Some days they hardly eat, because they eat more intuitively. Mothers can try as much as they want. The babies defend his needs really well. It's easy. Either cry or doing this and whatever. It's just protest. We have to learn to be like that. To learn to say no, if to ourselves, not only to others, but ourselves. I won't eat that just because.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think
so
we answered
changes,
the question, or you want to say more? Sorry.
Changes all great.
Yeah.
Anything improve. If anything happened for us, it was all improvement. It was nothing going backwards, and it's just great. I wish it upon everyone. I wish upon everyone to experience the knowledge who they are, because once you start eating only in the fruit, then you're the true yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that all?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we hope we didn't forget anything, because we don't make any scripts
No.
or even make bullet points or anything. We just talk whatever comes to us.
Yeah.
Because we believe, again, it's more natural, but it may happen, we may forget to mention something. So if we do, if you didn't touch up something you would like to hear about,
Ask us in the comments.
ask again as always.
Yeah, and if it's something bigger that we feel like is too much to answer in a simple comment, then we'll address the issue in a later video. But yeah, for now I think we should bid everybody farewell and wish them a pleasant weekend and pleasant coming week, as always.
Yeah, we wish you all the best, and we wish you a lot of love.
Yeah.
We hope you eat a lot of love, and you give a lot of love. I want to say differently. We hope you give a lot of love and you receive a lot of love.
Yeah.
Every day. So, all the best, and we'll see you next video.
Yeah.
And
Ciao.
thank you.